千里之行，始于足下. A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. Welcome to Tao Talks with Derek Lin, where we delve deeply into the Daodejing by Lao Tzu. Let's begin with the first of the three characteristics of the sage, and that's line 6, knows without going. This corresponds with one of the lines that came before, one of the lines in the beginning of this chapter. Can you guess which one that is? Here is the answer. Line 6 that says knows without going corresponds with line 1, without going out the door, know the world. It's basically another way to express the same idea. Internal, external, internal meaning in the house or in the mind, external meaning the material world outside the door. Here, in this slide, I use a couple of graphical symbols to bring that into sharper focus for us to represent. To the right, you see the yin and yang symbol. I typically use that to represent the Tao. Although the yin and yang symbol, strictly speaking, is just a yin and yang symbol, the Tao is actually everything. The yin and yang symbol, though, is a convenient shorthand. It reminds everyone of the Tao. So I continue to use that to represent the Tao. Then you would also see on the left-hand side, I have a graphic here of the world, the globe. So this represents a material world and all the complexities that it contains. So here I have line 1 and line 6. And I talk about Lao Tzu and the ancient sages. And this is because lines 6, 7, and 8 talk about the ancient sages. It's what Lao Tzu expresses or explains about the characteristics of the ancient sages. And then line 1 is what he starts out with in expressing those ideas. So here we go. At the beginning of the chapter, Lao Tzu expressed his position. Starting from line 6, Lao Tzu describes the ancient sages he studied, and it's useful to remember that once upon a time, Lao Tzu himself was studying the Tao, just like we are. He did not invent or create the Tao. Those are misconceptions. And then, further clarification, his ideas, the ideas of Lao Tzu, came from what they taught, what the ancient sages taught. And in this case, it's about the external versus the internal. I want to provide some comparison and contrast between the external orientation and the internal orientation. The external, concerned with the world, material world perspective. Internal orientation is about what is happening on the inside. What is the spiritual self? So this is the first of the three characteristics of the sage. I have common mindset on the left. I have the Tao mindset on the right. So you can guess where I'm going with this. The common mindset, I'm pointing to what we see, what we can observe as what most people are concerned about, what most people spend a lot of time thinking about. The Tao mindset is or should be the mindset that we're more familiar with through the work of cultivation, through studying the Tao. So the external, the common mindset, materially oriented thought process. The Tao mindset, internal, spiritually oriented Tao process. So let's take a look at these. The common mindset, what a lot of people are interested in, is the acquisition of new expensive things. So you can think of this as maybe, lining up days in advance to purchase the latest and greatest technology gadgets. That's one manifestation of that mindset. And yet another one is shopping, browsing, getting the latest fashion, jumping on a trend to acquire more things. It can also manifest that as, I want a luxurious, bigger house, large mansion, or I want a sleek, expensive $1 million sports car. These are all manifestations in the common mindset, the acquisition of new expensive things. So the Tao mindset understands that, knows that, is able to engage in it, but the Tao mindset expands beyond the material world perspective into the greater dimensions of the Tao. So the Tao mindset is concerned with other things other than material acquisitions. Namely, a great interest in the Tao mindset is to learn from new, enlightening experiences. And that, too, can manifest in different ways. It can be the Tao-centric way of traveling to different places to learn about everything there. It can be a Tao-centric participation in a gathering like this, where we basically learn from one another to enrich our own understanding of the Tao. So hopefully this too, in some ways, will also be an enlightening experience for all of us. So let's take a look at another comparison. In the common mindset, in what most people are usually thinking about, spend a lot of time thinking about, is how they look, how they appear, striking a dashing pose for other people. So visibility is the next one. Here, the common mindset loves being seen, loves the highlight, loves the spotlight. The common mindset loves publicity, and notoriety is acceptable. Why do I say that? Because in a common mindset, if you cannot have great publicity, you would then fall back on notoriety, because no publicity is bad publicity. That is, you become well known regardless, whether it is through something positive or negative. So then, in terms of visibility, what would be the Tao mindset? How would a Tao cultivator approach the issue of publicity, being known, being highly visible perhaps? In visibility, the Tao cultivator, this is what we've been taught, the Tao cultivator prefers the low profile, to come and go unnoticed, to take care of your business, causing no disturbance, and being able to freely move about without drawing too much attention. So this is different than sneaking around. This is simply not having a need to attract a lot of external attention, to try to gain external validation. This is you taking care of your business quietly, efficiently, effectively. If people notice, that's fine. That's your business. If they don't notice, that's okay. You come and go with the low profile, causing no disturbance. So let's take a look at yet another area of difference between the common mindset and the Tao mindset. Conversation, what do people talk about? In the common mindset, a large part of the emphasis, a huge amount of emphasis, a lot of attention is about money, investments, What's a good investment opportunity? Real estate properties, stocks, what is it? Mutual funds, business ventures. So a lot of conversation in the common mindset, materially oriented, complexity oriented, it's about money. So the Tao mindset understands that. The Tao mindset is not someone who lives in a world without money. The Tao mindset is practical and can engage in financial discourse when necessary. But in addition to that, there's more emphasis in the greater dimensions of the Tao, which for the Tao cultivator means the conversation has an emphasis on the intangibles, the philosophy, different perspectives, different takes, ideas, notions, concepts, fascinating, all fascinating topics to explore, fascinating areas of conversation to get into. So not just about material world concerns, basically. And then the last contrast that I'll draw here is in terms of appearance. So the common mindset will be more concerned about brand names, designer labels. The idea is to be recognized, to draw attention to something that's expensive. The Tao mindset, in terms of appearance, simple, elegant, quality attire. So let me make it clear, this does not mean inexpensive. Not necessarily. You can have high quality attire that is elegant in appearance, simple, but not cheap. There's bespoke tailoring, there's personal tailoring. So all of these things are not either or, they can flow into and encompass one another. Nor are these the only areas of difference, the only possible areas of comparison and contrast. You can easily extend from this list to think about different ways that people have that external orientation versus internal. The orientation that is external is all about appearance. It's all about what looks good, what draws attention. The internal orientation, it's all about what's good quality-wise, what's good for you, what fulfills the real purpose other than drawing attention. So as an example, when it comes to transportation, you can think of the common mindsets, the external validation, validation hungry mindset as a stretch limo. A stretch limo draws attention. It's a statement. It's a gesture shown to everyone. And it's an attempt to get more attention, i.e., hey, everybody, look at me coming out of my stretch limo, that type of thing. The Tao mindset, in contrast to that, would simply be reliable transportation. And I pick the words reliable transportation deliberately because reliable transportation could be inexpensive, but it can also be very expensive. It can run the full gamut. In a similar way, you can think about other areas of life like food, like eating, in which case you can easily imagine that the common mindset that is focused on external appearance, that will be represented by something like an all-you-can-eat unlimited buffet, where you can stuff yourself and then afterwards be very uncomfortable, be totally stuffed and maybe even feeling a little bit sick. Whereas the Tao mindset will be the opposite. It will be nutritional food that is good for you, but also delicious, that you do not eat to complete fullness, but 80% full, and the food being nutritional and being good for you will give you vitality, energy. It's fuel for excellence. It doesn't exhaust you. It doesn't make you feel sleepy. So that will be the Tao mindset. So internal versus external, this is one way of looking at it. Now, we know that when Lao Tzu expressed the same ideas, he also brought into consideration the idea of going places, traveling, that the further you go, the less you know. So we can't just ignore that metaphor. We have to talk about it too. And one of the aspects of that is when you think about how people assume there's a place that you must go to get spirituality. In the common mindset, that place to go will be on Sundays, to the church or perhaps to the temple. And that is seen in the common mindset as the source of religious teaching. The Tao mindset is different. And hopefully, this is something that everyone already sees. It isn't Sundays, it's every day. Like every day is Sunday, so to speak. And what you want is not necessarily the source of religious teaching, but the source of spiritual wisdom. So the verbiage here is also deliberate because a lot of times spiritual wisdom can be different from religious teaching. So the real source of spiritual wisdom is one's Tao cultivation, the Tao within. This means Tao cultivators are not opposed to going to church, going to temple, but they have a clear view that ultimately they must rely on their own cultivational practice and their own internal connection to the Tao for spiritual wisdom, not what the pastor says. Regardless of how well regarded the pastor or the master of at the temple may be, regardless of that, at the end of the day, it all ultimately comes down to your own cultivation of spirituality. So what about another one? In the context of going places, let's talk about vacation. In the common mindsets, when you talk to people, when you talk to friends, relatives, co-workers, they talk about their vacations, you can plainly see that a very common mindset is that people go to as many tourist attractions as possible. That seems to be a major goal in life. And what they end up with is superficial experiences. That is, I go here, I take a selfie, I throw up the victory sign with my two fingers, and then I go somewhere else, I do the selfie again with something else in the background. So these are touristy, quote unquote, for the lack of a better term. And the superficial experience is actually not what the Tao mindset is after. The Tao mindset can go to different places, will see the tourist attractions, but the focus is different. In terms of places to visit, the Tao mindset is about travel as opposed to vacation. And I hope everyone sees the distinction. And it's about immersion. It's about experience. It's about being in depth in one's experience at a particular place where you spend the time to really get to know that place. And by knowing that place, I mean everything. I mean the local culture, the food, the people. Cultivators challenge themselves to go outside of their comfort zone. You may end up in a place where you don't speak the language. It may be a challenge to connect with people there, to figure out how to be independent and find your way around, how to go from one place to another, navigate the map, and how to make friends. So that's a big part of what travel is all about for the Tao mindset. Connections with new people. Tao cultivators know that no matter where you go in the world, if you are sincere in your approach, if you are friendly, if you harbor goodwill, they know that your smile will be returned, no matter where you are in the world. They know that when you ask people about themselves, you can hear their stories, their past, how they got to where they are today. How cool is that? It's about experiencing new ways of doing things, new ways of looking at life. So travel has a very different meaning for the Tao mindset. Now, let's extend beyond just vacation. Let's go to pilgrimage. This is where I think about how people take on a trip to a faraway place where they feel like it will make them more spiritual or it will help them find themselves. That's relatively common. A lot of people do that. They're putting the focus on this distant destination, and their expectation is that when they get there, that it will have a magical transforming effect on them. So that will be a more common, more conventional idea of pilgrimage. Pilgrimage here is just a generic term that denotes what happens when someone goes to a faraway place in search of spirituality. Pilgrimage in the Tao mindset is a little different. In the Tao mindset, the Tao cultivator understands the real journey, the real pilgrimage really takes place in the heart throughout the entire trip. That when you go visit a particular place that is known as a holy site, it's actually your internal reflections, your observations, your thought process on your way there, while you are there, and on your way back. All of that entire totality is the pilgrimage. So it's a slightly different understanding. It doesn't fixate on the remote destination. It doesn't really have any magical properties. The Tao mindset understands that. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Let us travel safely. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.